So if you're watching this, you're probably in a high school physics class about a Mousetrap car, or if you just want to have it for fun. This is a little bit more advanced, but I'm just still using simple things like CDs, we got straws, a dowel rod, and we got a square dowel rod. It's a 1/4 inch, and obviously a Mousetrap. So I already have a demo here a little bit. So I just took these, I split this in half. It's not perfect, it really doesn't matter. I tried to get these straws as even as possible, so it doesn't. If you have it like these, if it's a little angle, you're gonna go to the side a little bit. It's all gonna be all wonky, messed up. So I've already got these. I took a little bit of this and I cut it and glued it on each end. I got it as straight as possible so I can fit this through. See if I can get it on first try. Now I'm eventually gonna cut this about right here. I can do that right now actually. Just cut this. Got it. Don't want to make it too flat on the bottom side of the cylinder. Now you're gonna need 2 of these eventually for the front axle too. So I'm gonna stick this through like that. So now what you want to do is you want to take any sort of popsicle stick. I'm actually using a little bit bigger ones here, and I'm going to snip them to a rough square. It doesn't have to be perfect. You want to take your hot glue gun. You want to glue each corner, and you want to stick it, doesn't matter which side, onto the CD, just so it covers the hole. That's all that matters. Do that for 4 real quick. Now this one is going to be a little bit more advanced. I'm just kind of talk about a mechanical advantage. All those things like that. I'm going to actually talk about it right now. So mechanical advantage is the distance traveled compared to what it originally was. So for example, like the Mousetrap, for example, if you have the tiny little spring, that is considered like the first one mechanical advantage. Now if you add a longer dowel / arm on it, it'll actually increase it, making actually the car spin slower, but in the end it goes, let's say it was 9 inches compared to 1 inch, it would go 9 times further than just if it was this little spring was pulling the axle. Alright, so now I've got my 4 CDs. Now this is kind of the tricky part. You want to be careful with this. I'm just going to try to make this fast. It's not going to be perfect. Alright, so I try to get a little bit closer. So I'm going to try to put it as center as possible. Take one, I don't know, 3/4 inch, and I'm going to stick it in the center as possible and try to keep it level. Now it's not going to be perfect. Your wheels wobble. It really doesn't matter that much. If you're really strict about it, I would advise getting ball bearings. I use those a lot. I'm just doing this for a quick demo. I've actually ran out. But I do have an example that uses ball bearings that I'll show you in a little bit. This is the quickest and fastest way to do it. Let's see. So also, fun fact, the wheels also have a mechanical advantage compared to the axle. So if you had tiny little wheels, unlike CDs are actually, I'm pretty sure it's like 17 times bigger than the axle. I could be wrong about that, but that means it's going to go 17 times further if your wheels were literally just the axle. Okay, that's pretty straight. And again, I'm doing this pretty fast. Really doesn't matter too much. All that you would really want to worry about is getting the bottom of the straw flat so that you can stick it on there and it's already almost level. And then all you have to worry about is getting it even with the middle. There you go. I've made probably 15 Mousetrap cars, so I would assume I could do this in like 15 minutes. Now we have last one. That's pretty straight. While we're letting those dry, I've already made a quick demo. What you want to do, if you already have a regular Mousetrap car or Mousetrap, see right here. So you have your spring arm, that is all that matters right here. If you hook this on, then it's active. Take it off, means nothing. So this is useless. I already took this part off, but when you want to start, you want to cut right there, just to where it's even. And I'd advise actually gluing this part, cut it here and here, and glue this part, because sometimes if you look at this goes all the way through, and then it wraps around right there. You want to glue this down so this stays in place, or sometimes it might slip out on you. I've had that problem quite a bit. So then it'll end up, you'll take just any of those kind of skewers like this. You actually drill a hole in it, both sides. First hole go in, I just put some hot glue in it. I kind of overdid it, just want to make sure it doesn't fall out. I actually sanded this down. I used a Dremel tool to really get it in, because sometimes you have a problem with this not fitting in there good. Maybe sand it down and such. You get it to where it's nice and level, because if you just use this, it's going to be really wonky and might even slip off. And you put it back on there. It'll be it's actually pretty easy to pull back. Okay, so now these are dry. I'm going to attach the back axle first, even though I haven't had the mousetrap quite set. All you want to do, I'm going to start with just, see if I can do this up close. I'm just going to stick it, hot glue as much as I can, fill it in there. Doesn't have to be much. It's not like it's going to slip out. It's going vertical. Alright, there's one. Wipe that off. Okay, now on the back axle, you're also going to want a way to hold the string. So that's kind of sort of a tricky part. As long as you get it hard enough. So I'm going to stick this back through. Now this is where you have to do it sideways. It's a little bit trickier. Glue this back on. And stick it in. I would leave it sideways. Hold this side up so it stays as flat as possible. Push down on it a little bit. And then you've got your back axle. Alright, so now we have the back axle. It spins pretty good. Now, I've already got this pretty perfect. I don't know how perfect. Whenever it lines up with the back axle, it's near right at the axle. That's pretty important because you're losing mechanical advantage if you can't get that string all the way to the axle. So I've already got these perfect. You don't really need any more. It's not like it's going to pull that hard. The glue will stay. Alright, so now let's get our string out. Now this is where the difficult part. You might need some help with this. I'm going to try to explain this best as possible. I don't know if you can see this, but you're going to make a little loop with a lot of excess and get it all the way down, so it's basically 2, and then you loop it inside itself again, just like so, and then pull it tight. You can actually scoot that loop up, then pull it, and then you've got, I don't know if you can see that, so you get a better example of it. Good light right here. If you can see that, but now it is a nice loop without it moving anywhere. So now cut the excess off. You're gonna have to guesstimate a little bit with this, but what you want to do is you want to go about the length. So let's set up this to where it would be about right there. You want to put your loop basically on the axle, just like so, and just think how much room you need to tie. So I'm going to leave about 3 inches. Cut it right here. Now we are done with the fishing line. I'm going to bring this up close. We actually get the flashlight so you can see it even better. Okay, so now you can, so I don't know if you can see this. Stick it through. It's just going to be a simple knot. I'm just going to go in between itself a couple times. Got one. There we go. Two. Let's do it 3 times, and then I'll glue it tight. You don't have to put too much glue, just enough to keep it all locked. And 3. And give me a little dab of hot glue. That's not coming out. Put it back in for a bit. I'll glue it later. Cut the excess off. Now let me see how accurate I was. Whew, spot on. So that's gonna be right there. It's pretty perfect. Alright, now that we've got that, we can actually glue this on. I'm gonna wait a little bit since the glue is warming up. I'm gonna go get a new dowel rod and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got the dowel rod. The hot glue gun is now heated up. Now I'm going to size this. It's going to be about right there. Cut this again. I'm not going to need that other side, so I'm not too worried about it. So then I'm going to stick the hot glue gun best I can. Didn't do it too good in there. It'll do. All the way in. Alright, so now this one really isn't as important, but you want to make sure it's definitely straight. Straight as possible, because this is where it's going to steer your car, or at least keep it straight. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to start with another important part of keeping it straight. These right here. If you want to really take it, I'm just going to do a quick demo, so it's not going to be very perfect, but you can actually measure from this axle whatever you want, how far you want, to get it perfectly in line. Let me get another piece going. That'll kill your whole run if you're just off by about 5 feet or so. I've had some go about 150 and it just decides to turn on me and it hits the wall, ruins my whole run because I don't want to touch it. That looks not the greatest, but you know, whatever. So this isn't, it's going in. If I can go in. There we go. The other one in. 2. I'm going to prop this up. I don't really want to bend the car. It's not too good. Stick some hot glue in here. Trying to get the best angle possible. It's really hard to do it from a far ways away. So that seems pretty straight. I don't know if you can see it, but now the length doesn't matter as long as it's leveled up. I cut a little bit off, but it's fine. Now string, got it ready. I'm going to off-center this a little bit so it's not quite in the middle, but it's just to the side right there. See if I've got a little bit of hot glue. I don't really need to put this much, just being cautious, just in case. I have had it pop off before. Get it on tight, don't want to break the wheels. There we go. That is a little sticky. Now I haven't put this on yet because I don't want to break it. Now obviously a very important part is just thinking how to attach it to the back of the wheel. Now I don't really put quite a bit of effort into it actually, but honestly you can use anything that's small or that can hold the string. it eventually splits. This stuff splits off. I like to take a little piece. I got lucky on this one. And I'll just put it, let's see, where is it going to end up? See if I'm straight with it all. It's going to be right here. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Stick it right there. Don't want to put it too close to the edge because then it might slip, but yet again the Mousetrap is going to keep it in one center direction because it's pulling, so it's not going to swivel very much or even at all. So that should keep it on there. Let me get this stringy stuff off just for a quick little test. Now I got this a bit long, that's completely fine. Try to get it in frame. Now I'm going to twist it backwards. Since I got it a bit long, I'm going to hold it up while I spin it for a couple times. This just once. Once it gets tight, I'm going to start spinning it normally. And this one, I'm going to lift it up on the axle so it actually doesn't pull this out. That's an issue that you might have. Then it'll actually end up breaking your arm. Now this is the simplest you can go. I made my arm a bit longer than some, but I will calculate the mechanical advantage later. This will get you, I would like to say 50 to 60, I don't know, even more feet. So now I can even take out my timer. Let me get a timer going real quick. And I'm going to time this. Now, I like to do this just so I can figure out just an average of how fast it's going to go. I got my timer right here. I'm going to release it. And right, see if I can get it right. Start. Now, all of that is eventually going to lead to all of that drift afterwards. So it's kind of good that it's getting all of that. 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21. Stop. Okay, so 23 seconds is not bad. Not the most terrible. So most of that came from the phase of just drifting along with no power. That's completely fine. If you want to go even more detailed or further in your mechanical advantage, you can have a gear or even a pulley system. I'll go get that. So here is my record car. If you see, I can actually do the measurements real quick. I've got a 8.5 inch lever arm plus a, let me see here, 3.5 inch wheel, or reduction wheel you should say. And then that, if you can see it in there, is winded up with a lot of fishing line. And that, it's like adding an extra axle. So this, pulling on this picture, if these were the wheels, all you would get is this lever arm. But since it's pulling on this to this, however, what the mechanical advantage from this size all the way down to this little axle will actually go that much further. So I can actually go get the mechanical advantage for this car, and I'll explain it here. Okay, so I have my mechanical advantage right here. I have the wheels are 19 times bigger than the wheel axle, and then the reduction wheel is 14 times bigger than the little wheel axle, and then you have 1 and 9.4 for the arm, which comes out to 1 over 2,565. So that means the car will go 2,565 times further than this little spring right here. Now that one took over a month to make and test, and it went roughly 330 feet plus the coasting phase, which I haven't calculated that yet. Now I don't know how far this one's going to go, but I can end up testing it and seeing how far it roughly goes. Alright, so I just tested this, and down and back is 23 feet plus 12, which is 58, so basically 60. I did accidentally glue right here a little bit, so I realized that this actually could have gone a little bit further because it actually has a lot more friction because I accidentally glued a little bit of the axle. But for 60 feet, for a quick build, I don't know, it took maybe 20-25 minutes. It worked out pretty good. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See ya.